Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to FM22. It's Youth Factory, episode 53, and here is our preview to the new season before we kick off the new game. For one thing, I've let quite a few players go. We cleared out that lot. We got rid of, I believe, 7 players plus one out on loan. Only one out on loan, primarily because we've hit that stage where teams just aren't interested in paying salary anymore. They think we've got it covered when we, in fact, do not. Our finances are very much a problem. On the key players list, each team is always allotted 2 players. And when it comes to the 2, Andreasen and Bergam are the 2 that have been picked from us. But those 2 also happen to be right near the bottom of the list. And I have no clear picture on whether that is ordered by skill, but kind of think it is, because the 2 Christiansund players right at the top, a couple Kongsvinger players right at the top, and right at the bottom is relegation favorite Tromsø 2, and right near the bottom are our 2 players. So based on that, you would largely suspect that yes, we are going to struggle this season. 4-4-1-1 for the Media Dream 11, and we are nowhere near that list. In terms of the odds this season, the teams that were all relegated, strong teams, really strong teams, in Kristiansund, Ranheim, and Sogndal. Those are definitely 3 of the bigger names. They were all kind of mid-table teams, so for them to slip down out of the top tier to here is worrying. Kristiansund looks like, on paper anyway, they are going to absolutely blow the league away, as they are heavy favorites to rebound straight away. Also worrying, Kongsvinger, Sandefjord, that we've already seen in the past and look pretty strong sides. So I'd say there's a good half dozen teams here in this second tier that are going to be a clear step above where everybody else is. I want to go ahead and take a look at the standings from last season for the top 2 divisions to kind of see how these teams performed. You figure there's going to be some changes to the sides, but only some. And ultimately, they should be at least semi-similar this year to how they were in the past. Now, the other notable thing is just how far off the 3 teams are that were promoted. We do come in as the only one with any odds whatsoever. We get NA for Stabæk and Tromsø, and those 2 happen to be the only second teams that are in this level. That's surprising that we are down to 14 out of 16 teams are all independent squads, senior squads. So that's certainly noteworthy. They do have us picked dead last of all of those, and just above the other 2 secondary squads. And in the case of Stabæk, that was a pretty decent squad. So the Obosligan last season, HamCam was the one promoted as champion and comfortable. They were quite a ways ahead. Ilsund and the first Tromsø team, which cleared the way for that Tromsø 2 to get promoted as well, they go up. And they were each 7 points off and then 10 points clear of everybody else. So actually, there was a pretty dominant 3 a year ago. But yes, Kongsvinger and Brine, not sure which, we'll say Brine. Brine was, and Jerv, actually all 3 of them were certainly up there, but not elite or anything. I mean, looking at their records, very similar, about 13, 9, and 8 for those 3 teams. Only slightly better than 500. That's not great. Straumann, more draws, but kind of similar in that manner. Same with Grorud. So there was a lot of evenness, I guess you could say. Mjøndalen was a team that is picked, to finish second? Based on how they did last season, I wouldn't think so. 9-12-9, that's very much 500. Fredrikstad, Sandefjord. And then you see the next tier. So there's really a second tier there, I'd say from 48 to 37. So from about fourth, well, no, really, we're looking at a handful of tiers here, right? You got your top three, and then you have your next three. And then you have from 7th through 11th within 3 points of each other. And then the relegation group, Arendal, Raufoss, Asker, Rosenborg. Also close to each other. 5 points separating them. And that's definitely your group that's losing more than they win. Beat up on each other, of course. Occasionally upset the teams above them, but definitely a notch below. And then Odd 2, that was a bit off. I think we beat Odd 2 in the cup last year, did we not? Rosenborg. It was the senior Rosenborg team we went up against, and it's Rosenborg 1 that I think was winning in the top tier. Let's see if that's the case. No, Vålerenga ended up with the championship ahead of Brann. There's Odd, Sarpsborg. Rosenborg was 5th this year. I think they won the year before. Bottle Glimt, Strømsgodset in the top places. Molde, Lillestrøm, Stabæk, Haugesund, Viking, and Start. And then there's your relegated sides. Ranheim, Kristiansund. They were a -18 to Ranheim's -28, but the point differential. And then Sondale, who did struggle and was certainly off compared to everybody else. Only 2 wins all season for Sondale. So maybe Sondale won't be too tough. Hopefully they're not, because that's who we open our season with, is against Sondale. One thing we haven't checked in on for a very long time is the head coach and his development, or my development. Reputation-wise, up to 50%. Media handling, a whopping 2%. I don't handle too many of the media opportunities, but tactical consistency locked in right at 100, hands-on 80%, managing finances at 71. Despite everything, we have managed finances relatively well. The club is largely in debt, but we've mostly been under the wage bill requirements every season. And only in the last few seasons, where they've really handcuffed us, have we struggled with that a little bit. Team discipline, 55%, but loyalty to players and domestic player bias are maxed out. In the attributes, I've been focusing mostly as the defensive and or tactical coach, handling some of that with the mentals, and so that's what's really developed more than the other skills. Working with youngsters at a 20 now, though, so that's really good. Really important considering how many youngsters we have in the senior squad. Determination at a 20. Discipline at a 20. People management 19, and motivating a 15. Pretty dang good in those. And shockingly, adaptability has not progressed an ounce. Even though I'm an American coach coaching in Norway, and I am fully knowledgeable of the Norwegian area, and I have coached here for a decade and a half or something like that, 12, 13 years anyway, and I still have no adaptability. I've never even coached in the home nation. I've coached abroad the entire time. It's just odd to me that does not develop. It's really strange. Really strange. I understand I haven't changed jobs multiple times or anything like that. I've been in one job throughout, so that's not going to make adaptability super high. But it's a foreign job, and I did start that job at some point. There should be a certain amount of learning, adapting. I learned the language. Anyway, I'm fully fluent in Norwegian now. I think it's funny that they always make American coaches fluent in Spanish, which that's not standard. That's not standard at all, and I'm certainly not fluent in Spanish. I have some, very limited, but I do have some. But, basic would still be kind. I'm going to check in on how the club is doing before we start that game. And one thing, the previous episode, I was noting that we've had a massive increase in the cost of our youth setup. That $150,000 increase thus far has continued. The intake is done. We've rolled into a new month, and it was still at the same level as what it's been for now 6 out of 7 months. Huge cost. Huge. We're talking about $900,000 we've spent over the last 7 months. Extra. Not just total, but extra $900,000. We haven't countered that in any way. I mean, the income has not increased. We're about to start the season. We'll see how the club does in terms of putting butts in seats, because that will help. It's going to offset some, but I don't think we're going to come anywhere near that $150,000, in which case we're going to have to deal with an issue. According to this, media prediction has us last, 16th out of 16. Club attendance numbers have grown, though, so that's one good thing. We're now showing an expected average of 1663, and our reputation has grown quite a bit. We're up to 2715. That's out of 10,000. So we're more than a quarter of the way towards maxing that out from literally a 1 out of that 10,000 when we started. So that's come up a lot. But that club attendance, the figures look to have grown by about 600 to 700 this season compared to where it was. That's certainly going to add up to a lot more money. But how much, though? I'd say at best we're going to add 50% to our total. I know 1,000 and 1,600, that's more, but we had those extra runs. We had that deep cup run, and that brought up our average attendance quite a bit over the season, and it was about 1,100. So from 1,000, it's more than a 50% increase. From 1,100, it's less than a 50% increase, and we don't know if we're going to have a run in the cup or anything like that. So let's just average that out. Let's say there's a 50% increase, and let's see where that money would go. So gate receipts, we'd be talking about an extra, well, not quite 150,000, probably 140,000 for the whole season. Remember, we're spending that per month extra in the youth setup. So that covers 1 month of debt. The merchandising's not going to go up by much. Match day income, maybe an extra 40,000. So that's certainly not covering much. The corporate income, likewise, very small amount. Season tickets, we certainly have made more this year. We made 21,000 versus the 5,000 we made a year ago. So that's gone up fourfold. That certainly helps. We sold 370,000 worth of players last year. This year we've sold nothing, but we're getting additional income from the sales of last season. So far that's 37,000 additional money that we've brought in. But again, we're talking about all in, we're maybe recovering 2 months worth of the extra cost. Likewise, TV revenue is supposed to be about 50,000, but that's not even pushing us to 3 months worth. We are in trouble. If we're talking about 10 months of 150K, we're looking at 1.5 million. An extra 1.5 million that is not going to be recovered. That is absolutely a major concern, as the club is going right back into some pretty major financial issues. Also, our salaries are up a bit this season, not massively, but they're up. We're playing at a higher level, and some players have already demanded new contracts, and the longer we're here, the more they're going to demand them. And at some point, if we're going to retain this level, there's another thing that's going to come up too. Ranheim, in our division, fully professional. Arendelle, semi-pro. Fredrikstad, semi-pro. Brine, fully professional. Grorud, semi-pro. Jerv, also semi-pro. Kongsvinga, fully professional. Kristiansund, same. Raufoss, semi-pro. Sandal, fully professional. Straumen, semi-pro. And Mjøndalen is fully pro, as is Sandefjord. So we have 16 teams in the league. 14 are senior level teams, with a couple second teams in the division. We are split evenly with 7 fully professional sides and 7 semi-pro sides. And for the most part, the 7 fully pro sides are the upper tier. Remember, we had 3 and 3. Most of those, 5 of those 6 anyway, last season in terms of performance, were all fully professional. So we are carrying an extra disadvantage this season that we haven't had previously. We are now competing against sides that are fully pro. And that's going to make it a lot harder to compete. I think from what we've seen, the second teams seem to struggle at this level. So Stabæk and Tromsø are predicted to struggle. If that's the case, that means we really only need to beat one of the other teams. And theoretically, we're looking at the other semi-pro teams. So out of 7 semi-pro teams, looks like one was pretty dang good and have things figured out and have a good solid squad. So then out of the other 6, which means we're one of them, so one of the other 5 we need to finish ahead of. That makes the task a little less intimidating. But let's get to games. Let's see how we do. And we're finally ready to kick off the season. I know you've been waiting for this one for a little while. An episode and a half of off-season preset feels like a lot, but I don't know, moving up to the second tier feels like a lot. So I'm a lot more invested now in where we're at, how we're going to do, and see if we're going to be safe of the relegation. I certainly hope we are. Fairly good crowd on hand here for the season opener. Definitely nowhere near capacity, though. It's still under half. A couple changes to the side, one unexpected. Now, first off, it would have been impossible to have the same 11 that we finished the season with. Main reason for that, Haukeberg. Haukeberg was already signed and given back to us on loan. But that loan ended. So we had to replace Haukeberg. So there was going to be one change to the side. And after careful consideration, Hagensen is getting the nod. Hagensen is going to take over as starter as Lovas. Nice chance on that one here in the 7th minute. This is the same Sondale side that we played a few seasons back in the Cup. And we were competitive with them, but I do think we ultimately lost that day. It was 3-1 or something like that, and they got an extra goal late when we were pushing, but it was competitive at 2-1 throughout most of that game. Anyway, Hagensen taking over for Haukeberg. That's going to be cemented. That's what I want to do there. However, it's not going to be throughout, and that's not the only change today, as a second change is that Janssen is in at defensive mid. I do want to get him a fair number of starts. I want him to start quite a few times this season to develop, as I think he is the future at that defensive mid. But that is not at Fawoli's expense. Fawoli, who I was considering for that center back spot, and will play there occasionally in place of Hagensen potentially, or in place of one of the other guys. I think Fawoli is now my primary backup at the center back spots. But Gillo picked up an injury about 4 days ago that will have him out for just over a month, about 5 weeks. So with Gillow out for the opening month of the season, here's Bergam, chance. Oh, so close. Pushes it just a little bit wide there. And he had a good look at it too. It's just not a good finish there. Okay, he finds a little bit of space inside, passes to his partner with Andreasen, who earns us a corner. Anyway, with Gillow out, that means we are now looking at Haagensen and Fuoli in alongside Severette, at least for the next month, which means Janssen is going to get a good number of starts to open the season, or at least under my control. That's how it'll look. I would think under the AI's control, the assistant manager probably not going to make those same selections that I will. We have dominated the first half though, but not the greatest chances. We've had 12 shots, but only 0.8 XG. But most of that is not down to poor chances. Most of that's down to poor finishing, as we've only managed to get 2 of those 12 on target. Janssen had a minor injury about a week ago. Just left him out of training for a few days, but he is still not fully fit following that. So Janssen may not make it to the end of this game. Hermansen is not going to be a regular on the bench anymore, but with as Janssen and Fuoli, right, are going to be splitting time. Therefore, Hermansen is the one who has been sacrificed there. However, with Gillow out injured, that means both of my DMs are on the pitch at the same time. Therefore, to make up for that, as Fuoli is sitting on a yellow card, by the way. Got to be careful there. Lavas, oh, he gets the ball back. He recovers. Oh, tight angle, and has to inside of the foot side volley to come across that ball. He comes so close, he ends up hitting the outside of the post. It goes out of bounds. It was very, very close to a goal. Good first touch there from Gay. Sets up either Lavas or Andreasen, not sure which one, but they get it on target. At least we're getting some shots on target here now. But we absolutely should be ahead in this game. Problem this season is we can lose it in an instant. Like right there. If he gets that on target, that's a goal. Let's do it. Lavas is struggling. I want to see Holmdahl. I didn't want to have all 3 youngsters on the pitch at the same time. I didn't want to get too young. But for one thing, I think Janssen's not going to make it much longer. We're probably going to have to push Holmdahl. Oh, no, Fuoli will stay. We're probably going to have to just straight swap for Hermansen, which is going to make us more attacking when we're trying to go attacking. But I'm going to wait probably 10 more minutes, 7, 8 minutes anyway, to do that. Haagensen not having a great day, but not terrible. Jakobsen's the backup to, well, the 4 if you include Gillow. I'd rather leave Haagensen on than have to suffer through Jakobsen on the pitch. Same with Fuoli on the yellow. Rather risk that than bring out Jakobsen. I'm really nervous about going any deeper. Oh, the changes have not been made yet. Great. Thanks, game. There's their first highlight in a while, and there's a great chance through. I don't know if that was offside or not. I think he might have timed that well. I mean, he was well behind us, but I think it might have been well timed. And now we really do need to push on. Oh, no. No, he's just way, way faster than Haagensen was on that play. Haagensen not doing well there. Not doing well at all. Now, here's another thing I'd like to do now that we are trailing by a goal. All right, so big changes coming in terms of how we're going to play tactically going forward, trying to chase this goal. We've played so... Oh, Holmdahl! Bergam! Got it! Oh my goodness. Almost immediately we pull it together. It's a fantastic play from Holmdahl. Now, watching Homedale a little bit, he's missing one element to his game that Lovas has. But he is much more well-rounded in so many other ways, where he is going to be the full-time starter before the end of this season. I just didn't want to put all three guys in today, right? If I was missing... And let's keep on. Let's keep pushing. We want 3 points today. We have the momentum now. We're at home. Keep pushing. Why not? What do we have to lose? We're a team that's going to struggle with points. 3 points would be huge. Olberg looking for a penalty there, but that's a poor call. Oh my goodness, where did this guy come from? Wow. I didn't have anybody within 35 yards of him. Chance there, but they clear it out. And hit us on the counter yet again. Dangerous. Oh, gosh, maybe I need to change this thing back up to positive. We're already going attacking. Positive is enough. Let's not get too many players ahead of the ball here chasing this goal. Oh, again. Oh, huge play as Moen was beat. Somebody coming back with a slide tackle. I don't know whether that was Severette or Fawoli, but one of them dives and gets a foot in there and blocks that one, and we are now 30 seconds away from coming away with a point, which is absolutely better than relegation favorite against one of those top sides. Sundell might be on the lower end of the professional sides, but they are still going to be on the upper end of the table come the end of the season, or at least you would think. And their goal came against the run of play, but after that it was nervous moments. We got back into it. We got one. Based on the entirety of the match, you'd say we deserved more. But based on the run of play, the moment they had their goal, yeah, that got scary. Got scary fast. Good job battling back and at least getting one. First round of games almost in the books. Brian and Stebeck, the only ones that have yet to play. And we're the first draw of the season. Good thing we battled back on that, but everybody else have been a bit decisive. And other than Arendelle winning, Fredrikstad winning, and Kongsvinger losing, no early surprises here. That's a good thing. We've already pulled 1 point where a lot of the teams around us haven't. At least on the ones we suspect we're going to be battling with this season. Here's a quick look at those dangerous finances yet again. There's that 6 out of 7 months with the ridiculously high youth payments that we are having to make that are causing us just gobs and gobs of debt. We're at $686,000 in debt already, when just 7 months ago we were at even. So we are losing nearly $100,000 per month right now. In terms of payroll, we're at $118,000 out of an allowable $354,000. Last season we were at $88,000, I think. So, we've gone up by about $30,000 in the payroll this season with the new contracts, with the promotion bonuses or increases to salaries. Not drastically different. It's really one thing that is costing us everything at the moment. And then you had that one odd month where it was the same intake evaluation of all the previous months. So if we're lucky, this being the first full month since that intake was complete, it'll settle back down, but I just don't see it happening. The expenditure is just way too high. Way too high. And if that continues for another 3-4 months, we'll probably try to address that mid-season, because losing $1 million plus per season is going to be something we can't quite handle. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm a Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.